Alright guys, welcome back. I wanted to do a quick video on something that isn't car related. Just one of my, again, side hobbies, things that I like to mess around and tinker with. I'm making this for a friend of mine. He requested it. And yeah, this is a quarter. Okay, I'm going to make a ring for him. And I'm going to show you guys how to do it. It's very easy. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to our mini lathe. We're going to turn some light on like that. I'll move this back so you can see. I'm going to take my my quarter and I'm going to set it up inside the jaws here. All right, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to set it up in the notches. There's a couple. There's grooves inside the jaws. So basically, what I'm going to do is set it in the grooves, not too tight, so I don't damage it. Make sure that it's spinning true, which it is. And I'm going to center drill first, and then I'm going to drill it out to 1/2 inch using this drill bit. I'm going to shut the camera off, no reason to film this. It's just a drill, basically. That's all I'm doing is drilling a hole. And we'll move on after that, okay? So I'm going to get this started, and we'll be right back with you. All right, so the next step, you have this thing drilled, and you're going to deburr it using a deburring tool. Okay, I always like to do this step, clean it up. All right. All right. Next step, you have to look at the face and decide which side you actually want out, okay? Don't get yourself confused here. We're going to use a die first. I'm going to try to get you guys a view. This is the die and a ball bearing, all right? I'm going to look at this a couple of times, make sure I don't screw it up, because I need to fold it, okay? So what I'm going to do is, what am I going to do? Well, normally I would mark the side that I want in so that I wouldn't screw it up, but I think I could manage to not forget, okay? Now I'm just going to take my MAP gas torch and a piece of brass here, brass tubing, so I don't burn myself. And I'm going to heat the quarter. This process would be called annealing, would be known as annealing. And I'm going to simply do this. And I can put this in a vise. I can actually cool it if I wanted to, but not really a need. All right, give it a tap. I've done a number of these, and I kind of know what I can get away with at this point. I'm sure there's plenty of guys out there that are better than I am by far, but this is just a little hobby for me. So I like to play around. And all I'm going to do here is just give it quick taps, nice and easy. And you can see, oh, maybe you can't, let me see. You can see now that it centered itself inside. Okay, so it's conformed to the die. Don't grab the hot end of the brass. And this is what you'll end up with. Something like that. This is as far as you're going to go in the die, obviously. All right, so from here, I'm going to show you what's next. All right, so now this thing is nice and cooled off. Okay, and you can see it's going to darken, obviously, from the heat. That's okay, don't worry about any of that right now. We're going to fix all that. This is a very simple process, actually, guys. Very relaxing for me to play with this kind of stuff. I'm going to go back to my brass rod. this is the next tool we're going to use, is a steel mandrel, and mandrel slash ring sizer, and a plastic headed hammer, okay, which these are homemade. The original ones were crap and they broke in 2 seconds, so I turned a few of these on the lathe and made my own. So they've held up for quite some time now. I am once again going to get out my map torch. I'm going to set the ring towards the end of the brass, away from my hand. I'm going to heat it up. If you notice, what I don't do is I don't keep this was actually, I should have turned this the other way. That would have been smarter. We'll make it work. What I don't do is I don't cool it right away. I can. From here, you have a couple of choices. You can get something that fits over this and begin to tap it down, or you can simply, the reason, just so you guys know, the reason I'm doing this on the ground like an idiot is because the tripod is broke. So I have nowhere to set it up where I can actually do this in a better way, I guess you could say. I'm basically just going to start working this thing down the ring sizer right now, because I don't have anything particularly correct that I can use, okay, to fit this. So I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to kind of start working it down, and it's not going to look like much at first. It's gonna look very much like nothing's happening. That's fine. What you'll notice is that as I work it down, a little bit at a time, I also start to hit the edges. Okay? What this is doing is kind of folding it a little bit more, but I'm doing this very, very slowly. All right? I'm not going crazy here because I don't want to contort this thing in a way that it's going to take its shape, the shape away that I want, okay? Sorry guys, I'm not working on the best of my conditions, best of conditions here, and I apologize for that, but it's all I got to work with right now. I'm going to just keep going down, and you'll see what will happen here in a moment. Make sure the size that I have to go to. I have a ways to go. And I'm going to once again simply work this thing slowly. All right. The heat is going to make it easier to work the metal. Okay, that's just the way it works. It's like blacksmithing. It's the same thing. Just tighten these up maybe a little. I'm going to give it some more heat. And this is basically what we're going to do until we get the form we want. Notice how quickly this turns a bright orange. Do not touch that with your hands. You'll know it. And if you notice also, as I'm going down here, I'm working this evenly. Okay, slowly and evenly, because I want this to be uniform all the way around. All right? So I'm just going to keep working this slowly and down the ring sizer till I expand it to the size that I want, which I'm getting very close now. Actually wasn't sure I was going to be able to get to this size with a quarter. I never tried. specifically, so a little uncharted for me, but hopefully we'll make it. I think we will. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to flip it around. The reason I'm doing that is to get it expanded about equal on both sides. That's going to give me my sizing. The first thing I'm going to do is tap it around. As it's hot, I'm going to try to get this thing to even out. And I'll kind of show you a close-up what I'm talking about. Once I get it where I want it. Got to work kind of fast with, with it hot, because I'm going with very light taps here. I'm not hitting this hard at all. It's a very soft material to work with, especially when it's annealed. Even now, it's quite soft, easy to work with. And I'm very, very close to where I want to be. All right, and I just want to keep working it nice and easy. The plastic is not going to damage this if it's not going to damage the engraving or anything in the ring, so you don't have to really worry about that. I mean, using plastic after all. Now, if you notice now how tight it got around here, because it actually expanded from the heat, and then it contracted from cooling. So I can actually touch it. It's okay. It's not that hot. And if you look, it's coming out pretty nice, okay? It's coming out pretty round and pretty clean. So what I'm going to do is I want to make sure of my sizing. I can't see these numbers on here too well. They're etched in, and it's a little difficult. I think I'm very, very close, though. I think I'm very close, actually. I forget my own ring size. I want to say that this is probably right about where we want to be. If I open it up too much, it's kind of going to ruin things. It's about, I think I'm the same. I think that's my ring size, actually. It's the same size you wanted. I don't remember my ring size. All right, anyway. Okay, so this thing is nice and round and, smooth. Okay, I'm not going to get cut or anything like that because I did clean the edges, remember? Very important. I may go a touch more, perhaps, just to make sure. I think that we're right about there, though. I'm going to go a touch more. So I'm going to, again, turn it around, and I'm going to heat it up a little bit. I'm not going to go quite as hot this time. And I'm just going to work it down the sides a little bit. I really wish I could see these numbers better. Let's see where we're at. I actually think that is going to be right where we need to be, pretty much. So the only thing I'm going to do now is turn it back around and clean it up again to straighten it, just get it all straight. This is really all that's involved. It's a little bit of tap, 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 and working it a little bit at a time. Very, very easy actually to do. And fun. Gets my mind right, you know. And I think that we are about where we need to be. That should be right about there, okay? All right, so now what's the next step? Thing is dirty and filthy and ugly. Well, we can fix that. That's not an issue. Let me put this away. All right, now, if I could get a little light, would be appreciated. Okay, so now here is the mandrel. This is a ring mandrel. I'm going to put this back in the lathe, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. Clean her up. Always have your lathe powered off, guys, if you're playing around with these things. Any kind of power tools for that matter. Do not take a risk on hitting a button or something silly happening, because you will absolutely 100% regret it. I'm just going to move everything out of the way. And again, if you guys are not familiar with doing this kind of stuff, I don't recommend messing with it. It's not safe to play around with stuff like this if you're not comfortable. I do this quite a bit. I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm comfortable around this stuff. Doesn't mean I've never gotten hurt. I have. Lessons learned. I have a mess here because I've not been doing any of this work. But we're not doing any kind of cutting. We're just going to get some polish. This is some Flitz metal polish. I'm going to power my machine back on. And I am keeping this rag, in a way that I am not going near the chuck, okay? I may look like it, but I'm not that close. All right? You'll immediately see this. All right, you'll see black. Move your rag. Let's see where we're at. Let's see if we made any progress, I should say. And this should have kind of a rustic look to it. I can polish it as far as I want. I mean, as much as I want to go, but it should have a nice rustic look. And obviously there's different grades of polish. For these things, I found that I can use something like Blue Magic, Semi-Chrome, Flitz, anything like that, and just do it on the lathe quickly, and they come up pretty nice. I don't know how the camera's going to pick this up, in all honesty, but I'll try to. The camera's probably not going to pick this up with the crap. I'm going to put a picture in here, though, down below somewhere of the rings that I have done. Yeah, I don't know how that's coming out. It's probably like crap. In any case, I'll put a picture in there so you can see it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and put it in the lathe. Notice I shut my safety off. This is just force of habit with me, guys. You don't have to do that. I prefer to. What I'm going to do is I'm very gently, I'm going to just clean the jaws real fast, just make sure there's no crap in there. I'm going to gently put this into the chuck. And I do mean gently. I'm not going to squeeze this thing tight because I don't want to screw it up. They are soft. I'm going to take my Flitz polish and I'm going to get a little in here. and I'm going to do this by hand. Okay, I'm just going to clean this by hand. I can run this thing, get a, you know, and get a chock of wood in there, you know, a little piece of wood or something, and, you know, hold a rag and clean it or whatever. But I'm just going to do this by hand off camera, and then I'll show you the final result. All right, guys, I really am having trouble here tonight with lighting and everything, but that's pretty much the finished ring. I'm going to show you. I'll take a better picture of it and put it in to show you, but that's pretty much it. So yeah, if you're looking to do stuff like this, you could do it with all types of rings, as I showed in the picture before. One was a quarter, and one was a Sacagawea dollar, which looks like that. Okay, these were only issued, I think, a couple of years or whatever. Again, the lighting is terrible. My backlight is dying. Rough day all around, fella. So this is for a buddy of mine. He asked me to do this. And guys, I'm going to ask something of you, if you can spare it. A good friend of mine was murdered today. He was killed in the line of duty in Jersey City. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the shooting, and I'm going to put a link in the description box below. If you guys could spare anything at all. He had 5 children and a wife. He's 40 years old, and he was ambushed and killed today. So if anybody out there can afford to give, his family will appreciate it. So I would appreciate it as well. Thank you, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.